All right. We got some live people on. Welcome everybody to another live paddle review. Tonight, we are going to be talking about a brand new release from Onix, a giant in the paddle manufacturing business, big name. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the new graphite Voyager Pro. The Voyager Pro, this one really surprised me. I'm going to tell you all about it. And I think you're going to want to check this one out when you get a chance. So some people were asking for a little, some Neil Diamond. So let's make those people happy. Let's do everybody's favorite. You know what it is. Here we go. Touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, good time never seemed so good. I didn't cry. Little Neil Diamond. Who doesn't love Neil? All right. Let's get to the pickleball section of the night. The Voyager Pro. Like I said, guys, this one really surprised me. Haven't played with many Onix paddles in the past. I think my first paddle was the Z5. I know a lot of people started out with Onix paddles because they're readily available in the stores. You see them everywhere, and then maybe you move on to something else, maybe you don't. But I think they're on the right track here with some of these new releases, and I think they're trying to get the serious players back. And this one is a step in the right direction for sure. Let me tell you about the specs of the Voyager Pro. It's a 7.8 to 8.2 ounce paddle. Okay, you got the graphite, the special premium coated surface, the graphite surface, the polypropylene core, really sharp white and black graphics. Kind of looks a little grungy to me, which is why I got my Nirvana shirt on here. I really like the way this paddle looks. It really catches your eye on the court. The grip is your standard 4 1/4 medium-sized grip. It's got a little bit of a ribbed feeling on it. The Onix grip on there. You can see it's got like a raised ribs there. Kind of locks your fingers into place. I really like the way the grip feels. The paddle is 15 1/4 inches long, so it's a little shorter, but it's 8 1/4 inches wide. So they gave you a little more width here, and they took off a little off the top, you know. So you have a great paddle for blocking, and other than that, you're pretty standard shape. They did make it a little bit thicker than the prior Voyager. The paddle is now a 1/2 inch thick, and that's about it for the specs. This was released about a month ago at the end of November, and I really think this improves in every way on the previous Voyager. I did try the previous Voyager. If you guys have ever seen it, it's got that really bright blue pattern on it. How do you explain it? I think it's got a lot of those little circular designs on it. Really bright blue paddle. When I tried that, it felt like it was too thin. I don't know if you've ever played with a paddle that feels too thin. You just feel like there's not enough oomph behind your shot, not enough cushion to the paddle. And this one totally improves on that. The added thickness gives you a lot more stability on your shots. So the thicker core also, what that does is it increases your control. There's some other paddles on the market now. You know, Selkirk has come out with the amp line. They made the paddles thicker. So we're seeing a lot of paddles now that are coming out with a little thicker versions of you know, their previous models. And I think a lot of people are liking that. It just gives you a more stable feel. It gives you more control. And it takes away some of those vibrations that travel up to your hand and up to your elbow when you hit the ball. So with the Voyager Pro, you got the nice wide body, which is great for you guys that like to get up to the kitchen line quick and then just block everything back. Gives you a big area to block with. The sweet spot feels really large. Didn't notice a lot of miss hits. I've been playing with this paddle for the last about 2 weeks now, and really nice size sweet spot to this thing. You don't notice a lot of miss hits, and it is a graphite paddle. And sometimes I notice on some graphite paddles the sweet spot, you know, feels really small. And I didn't think this one had that at all. In fact, it doesn't really play. It doesn't play like a lot of other graphite paddles, and what I mean by that is you get nice pop to this paddle, but you also get the nice soft feel at the kitchen that graphite always gives you. So it's kind of the best of both worlds in that respect, where you get the graphite soft feel, but you get a nice fast response off the paddle when you hit ground strokes from the back of the court, and you also get some nice spin with this paddle. The surface actually feels quite smooth. So this would be a good paddle for people that have trouble when you get spinny balls hit at you, because the smooth surface will help to deflect that spin. But it also puts a pretty good spin on the ball, you know, when you're using it yourself. I didn't notice any decrease or increase in my usual spin with this paddle. It performed very well as far as spin goes. They also reduced the weight slightly from the previous Voyager, so it gives you a little more added quickness than the prior paddle did. So let's talk a little bit about how it plays on the court. The thing that I like the most about this paddle is I've got really nice, consistent depth control with it. And what I mean by that is you always felt like you knew how far your shot was going. You maybe were aiming for the corner, aiming for a line. It always went right around where you thought you were aiming for. And it was very easy to dial in, you know, how hard you had to swing, how soft you had to swing. It was easy to control distance with this paddle. You didn't get any of those crazy flyers that sometimes you get with certain paddles where, you know, whoa, where'd that come from? The depth control was very consistent, and that was very impressive. So this was great in the kitchen as well. Nice soft feel. You know, you get that with the graphite surface. Another thing that I was thinking about when playing with this, you know, Onix has the pure ball, which everybody uses. So you got to believe that they designed these paddles with that ball in mind, and they probably do a lot of testing of the paddle with that ball. And this paddle really performed well with the pure 2 ball, and I played with that outdoors. I also used this indoors with the soft jugs ball, and it did really well indoors with the jugs ball as well. I didn't notice a lot of crazy variances between playing indoors and outdoors with different balls with this. It's very consistent overall, no matter what ball you use. I also played some with the Dura and outside, and it also was very consistent, just a good steady performer. Definitely more on the control side of things. Not a power paddle. You know, I think this is for people that have no problem generating power. It's definitely more of a control player's paddle. And so I like to always say, what makes this paddle unique? Well, right away, the graphics make it very unique. I don't know any other paddle out there that looks like this. And you know, a paddle that you like the looks of it, that's important. And the other thing is, it's very wide. I don't know that there's any other wide graphite paddles out there. You know, you got the Tempest, you got the well, you got the Selkirk Pro 1G. That's also kind of wide, but I don't think any of them are 8 1/4 inches wide. And if you like graphite, but you never found a wide paddle that you really liked, you really want to check this one out. The other thing, I really like the handle. It's kind of a rectangular feeling handle. If you could see it there, the shape of it. Okay. It feels very much like a tennis racket handle. So if you're a transitioning tennis player and you like the feel of tennis racket handles, you're going to like the way this handle feels. So let's talk about what type of player this would be for. Like I just mentioned, transitioning tennis players, I think will like this one. Control players. Like I said previously, this is not a power paddle. So if you're a control player, if you maybe try some other graphite paddles and you didn't really like the way they felt, maybe the sweet spot was a little too inconsistent for you, I think this is going to be an easy playing paddle for you if you like graphite. If you like to block shots a lot, if you like to get quickly to the kitchen and deflect shots, this is a good one for you. I think this will work for any level of player, not necessarily, you know, higher skill levels. I think this could work well for just about anybody, except for somebody that has trouble generating power. I would suggest a composite paddle, or maybe the Z5. That's probably the most powerful paddle I've ever tried. But if you want a nice controlling and consistent paddle, this one I really would recommend. So what does this compare to other similar paddles? I think it compares pretty much to other graphite paddles like the Tempest. This one's got a little more pop than the Tempest, not much. They're pretty close in power. The Selkirk Pro S1G, another graphite paddle that it compares to. It also reminds me a lot of the Engage Encore line in the way it's a little bit shorter and it's got the traditional shape, and the way the Encores are very consistent playing. This one reminded me of that, the way that it played. And I think that's about all I have to say about this one. It's just really a nice control paddle, a great improvement for Onix. I was very surprised by this one. If you have any inclination to check this one out, I really think you should, because this is probably the best Onix paddle that I've ever tried. So that's a pretty strong statement, and I think they're on to some really good things now. Just a couple of things I want to remind you. If you are interested in buying this paddle, please go to my website, www.pickleballpaddlereviews.net, and if there's a link on there that'll take you straight into Onix's website, and if you use my promo code JACK15, you'll get 15% off of the paddle. That's a really good deal for this paddle. So promo code JACK15 on my website. I'll try to put up a link later for that. Also, some exciting things coming up in January. In the January Pickleball magazine, I will be writing an article on, explaining the differences between paddles. The choices can be overwhelming to some people. So I'm going to try to break it down for you, explain how one paddle differs from the next, and how that affects the way it plays for you. Basically, it will be an article explaining how to pick the right paddle for you. And I think you'll find that very useful. Also, I've been doing a weekly review with Pickleball newsletter. That's with Chris Allen. He does the Pickleball, the podcast, the Pickleball show. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that. That's a great show. Also, his weekly. Oh, actually, it's daily now. His daily Pickleball newsletter. If you're not in on that, make sure you go sign up at pickleballnews.com, and he'll keep you up to date on all the great content out there regarding pickleball, paddles, players, tips, videos that other people have put out. So check that out, and check out my website, and thanks for tuning in. If anybody has any questions on the Voyager Pro, now would be the time to ask. If not, you could always ask later in the comments. I'm going to take a look here, and okay, we don't have any questions at the moment. Going once, going twice. No questions. Okay, that means I did a good job covering everything. So everybody have a happy holiday. Don't get too stressed out. I know it's crazy out there. The answer is playing more pickleball. That helps with the stress of the holidays. And check out the Voyager Pro. See everybody soon. Take care.